Hello lovely Leo, how are you doing? So welcome to the 2026 horoscope, which is very exciting, and you'll be very happy to hear that after June 2026 you're going to be the luckiest zodiac sign. It's going to be really lovely. So I'm going to talk about the key themes of the year. I'll do a reflection on 2025, talk about the most important 2026 transits, and sort of break down the months based on what kind of subject and topic is going to be best. Also do a very quick run through of the most important things going on month by month, and then what I will do is break down the eclipses. And the reason why I'm being quite quick with all of this is because I actually have a PDF that I'm selling on my website, super cheap, around £10, which is about $13 or so, or sort of €12. And this is going to be the most strategic aspects for the year based on love and hobbies and travel and finances, self-development and career, broken into different sections. And this is quite specific. I handpicked these transits as well. They're for your strategic advantage, which I have a PhD in as well. So I'm always looking for the most advantageous things that are happening. I also break down every single full and new moon, talk about how its energy is replicated from a past energy, what it will mean for you, and hopefully it gives you kind of a nice holistic overview. And partnering this video with that document is a really nice way to get a holistic overview of the year. So that's the reason why I'm only talking about the eclipses for this particular video. So let's break down the key themes for you, Leo. So the first thing that will be quite notable is you'll be having a rumination on your spirituality, or the feelings of exploration in your life, maybe even religious trauma, because of Chiron being in Aries in the 9th house for you. And then you'll also have a focus on career and self-expression because Chiron will actually move from Aries, which has been in for quite some time now, a few years, into Taurus, which is going to be so much easier for you, and it will feel like you'll have a new sticking point when it comes to validation. So even though I say it's going to be easier, the reason why is because it gets you to face those feelings about validation and how you want to be perceived in the world head on. And once you do that, you feel a lot more healed. So Chiron is never nice because it's the asteroid of trauma, it's the wounded healer. But sometimes when you've had it transit a specific house, it's like, right, I've been there, done that. When you face something like the 10th house, which is really, it's really difficult when we're trying to face validation and we're trying to get people to like us and to do things. It can feel like once we've got over that, I can kind of handle everything. So it's almost like I have to do a little bit of a bust up and have a bit of a fight. And then afterwards I can be like, you know what, I don't need to do that anymore. I don't feel like I need to fight. Then you'll have some sudden changes with your career and opportunity, with Uranus actually retrograding from Gemini back into Taurus. And of course Uranus in Taurus is debilitated, does not like to be in Taurus. It's far too here, there and everywhere for something as fixed as Taurus. But it will also go back into Gemini eventually, and that will be hitting your friendships and community. Uranus does not discriminate, so it can be quite positive, it can be quite negative depending on the aspects it makes. It's generally just a shocking planet. So in that regard, it brings sudden changes of volatility, but sometimes that can be really good. So it can give us a bit of a shake-up in our career when we really need it. And of course, you know that you've already had Uranus and Taurus, so this will not be new. You might be like, okay, I'm kind of going through these old phases again, and I'm trying to change how I feel about myself. And again, with Chiron being in Taurus as well, you might be like, okay, I thought I dealt with this situation, but I actually haven't. And then when Uranus goes into Gemini, you're like, right, I can focus a little bit more on the things, like my sense of purpose in my community and what I'm doing as well, especially socially. Then the really exciting thing is you'll have a look with your identity, your goals and your life and just generally everywhere, because Jupiter will be moving into your sign Leo, first house of self, June the 30th. So you will not have that look until June, so be mindful when people say it's going to be your luckiest year, don't get to February and think, well, where's the look? Because it's not hit yet. So mindful that it's pretty much, especially June 30th as well, July onwards is when you're really going to feel it. And again, remember that Jupiter simply makes it easier for you to go after opportunities. It's not a lottery ticket. It's not you're promised anything. This video is not me saying you're promised to be the luckiest sign. It's saying you have more opportunity to be the luckiest sign. We kind of say you are the luckiest sign because it seems easier to say it that way rather than all the nuance of you have this opportunity, but hence why I'm putting that nuance in now, because it might feel like you're not necessarily being really lucky or you're having the best of time, but actually it's more about you going for the opportunity. So if you're like, you know what, I really want to do this thing in my life, Jupiter's in my sign, it's going to be good, it's going to work out, And for the first half of the year, you're still going to have Jupiter in Cancer in your 12th house, which can bring both good and bad elements. I don't really like Jupiter in the 12th house. The reason being is that Jupiter is known as a benefic, meaning it's very lucky, but it's actually quite a malefic because it expands what it's near and the house it's in. The 12th house is a very hidden house. So when you're trying to expand a house that's basically known for being foggy and shadows, it brings all the secrets to light. It also can be very difficult because it's your mental health. So it'll expand that. It will also expand karmic experiences. So there's always good elements in that. It can expand your ability to manifest things in a very tangible way, and that you manifest it and you see it. It's kind of like it teleports straight there. But also it expands the difficulties of the 12th house too. So I don't like Jupiter in this house. It's not something to be worried about. Like, you've already experienced a bit of it, but it's not as lucky as if Jupiter was in the 1st, 2nd, 7th, or even 10th house, for example. So I think that it can be a little bit difficult for you. And again, because of Chiron being in Taurus as well in the 10th house, it just feels a little bit like, why is it not happening? So when Jupiter actually enters your sign in June, you might actually think, okay, I can breathe a little bit more. So again, there's nuance here. Generally, Jupiter in Leo is going to be really fantastic. And of course, Leo's ruled by the sun. So it's expanding that positivity. It's expanding that 5th house energy. Leo ruling the 5th house, of course. So it's bringing more joy as well. And it is quite lovely. You'll also be aligning with the right romantic relationships and making strides with intimacy, exploring your freedom and commitment, because much like Pluto being in Aquarius in the 7th house for the next sort of 20 years, we'll also have the North Node moving from Pisces into Aquarius as well in the 7th house. And then of course, the big thing is that the South Node moves from Virgo to Leo. So then you release attachment to being perfect. You release these expectations of your identity and the mask. Again, this kind of goes hand in hand with Chiron going into Taurus as well, with how you are focusing outwardly to the public and how people are seeing you and what kind of job you're doing in society. And so you're releasing those feelings of, I have to be this particular person. Well, you can be whoever you want to be, right? So the South Node being in Leo, and then Jupiter being in Leo as well. There's quite a big focus on you this year, Leo. And you'll also be aligning with internal transformation and getting the balance right on savings and rebalance of self-worth and assets because of these recurring themes from 2025, and that we have eclipses from Virgo and Pisces again this year. But additionally, again, this is what makes you even more important this year, is that you'll have eclipses in Aquarius and Leo too. So you'll have an eclipse in your sign as well. But you might feel like, I've already done this particular thing, with the 8th and 2nd house, and feeling like, hang on, I've been here before. Yes, because the Pisces and Virgo eclipses are still repeated, but after that we won't have it anymore. So for you, Leo, again, I don't like to say that years are really, really amazing or this is the best zodiac sign, but in my eyes, if I was to say what's going to be the most important zodiac sign, you'd be the 2nd. First is Aquarius, just mainly because Aquarius is such a intense, strong social sign. But Leo, of course, is so bold and dramatic, so they kind of work hand in hand. So I'd say you're the 2nd most important, not lucky or happy, most important zodiac sign, but then you would also be the most lucky. So it's kind of like based on what you're thinking about as well. And of course, again, that focus on the right romantic relationship, because, the North Node is not particularly good or bad. It's just sort of it's a direction of travel for the soul a little bit. It's not as important as people make it out to be, especially because the North Nodes are there, sort of the nodal points, should I say, are around for sort of 1.5 to 2 years. And so people will have the same north and south node as you. It's not something that's really crazy, or it's not super specific. If it's aspecting a personal planet in a quite significant way, then yes, but it's not as important as people make it out to be. The only reason why I think this year it's going to be a bit more important than, say, last year is because in Aquarius, it's such a social justice warrior sign. It's so focused on AI and technology, which we're seeing right now, coupled with Uranus and Gemini. It just becomes more profound for the direction of travel we're going into. And that's not to say that North Node in Pisces is not important, because it is. But the Pisces energy is more of a spiritual thing, whereas Aquarius is more, we'll see this tangibly in the real world. And then, of course, South Node in Leo, which I'll come to talk about in a minute, about what these nodes mean, is quite dramatic in releasing the expectations of yourself and your identity as well. So the most important 2026 transits, again, as I mentioned, eclipses in both Aquarius and Leo, and Virgo and Pisces, is that Uranus and Taurus in the 10th house, Uranus and Gemini in the 11th house, Chiron in Aries in the 9th house, and Taurus in the 10th house. Then the North Node in Aquarius in your 7th house, the South Node in Leo in the 1st house, Jupiter in Cancer in the 12th house, Jupiter in Leo in the 1st house. Those are going to be the most significant transits for you, Leo. So let's quickly reflect on 2025, because some Leos will have an amazing time, some others don't. From what I can tell, everyone's having a bit of a shit time. It's just not zodiac specific. But what we had in 2025 was a North Node in Pisces in the 8th house, and a South Node in Virgo in the 2nd house, and eclipses in both of these signs. Then we had Neptune entering Aries in your 9th house, and that was the 30th of March 2025. So Neptune in Aries is a bit difficult, because Neptune in Pisces is, very foggy, very delusional, great for manifestation, and of course it retrograded back into Pisces 22nd of October 2025 as well. But in this regard, it's difficult for Aries to have a foggy mirror, because Aries just wants to punch through the mirror. So this is very focused on independence. If we think about Neptune as a collective consciousness, a planet of people, and Aries being the most independent of all the zodiac signs. I'm not going to use the word selfish, because everyone knows me knows I love an Aries. So I don't think it's selfish, I think it's independent. So when you have these together, it's a focus of that hyper-individualism. For you specifically, Leo, in the 9th house, it's a focus on how you can spiritually, become satisfied with your life, and that you don't need to be around people all the time. Leo's pretty social, so you don't have to be around people all the time. You're focusing on a very spiritual standpoint. And so for you, because Neptune is very spiritual, and actually a very incredibly spiritual planet, that will focus a lot of energy on your purpose when it comes to how independent I am. Then, of course, 30th of May, Saturn moved into Aries, which is a little bit more difficult. It's a lasso around a bull. Saturn does not like to be in Aries. It's pretty debilitated. And, of course, in the 9th house for you again, Saturn is going to bring some constriction. So this could be feeling trapped, not able to travel. You might find that you do become even more isolated, because people don't understand your way of thinking. Maybe they're not on your wavelength when it comes to intelligence and spirituality and, a higher order level of philosophical thinking. But also you could have some constraints with knowledge and studying, maybe not doing very well with assignments and essays, if that's what you're doing, or feeling like, I don't really care about learning anything new. I don't really want to do it. It can be a little bit more sort of, nah, I don't want to. You might also find that you're in need of some kind of mentorship or someone to help you, but you just can't get there. Again, Saturn's going to be in Aries for about 2 years as well. Also note that if you have a Saturn Aries natal, like in your natal chart, you're having a Saturn return. And so then that will bring a lot of commitment and seriousness to your life as well. Then June the 9th, Jupiter entered Cancer in the 12th house. Like I mentioned before, this will expand the 12th house, and mental health can be quite difficult for you. But of course, this will be easier for you this year when Jupiter moves into your sign. Jupiter in Cancer is exalted, so it is actually nicer. However, as I mentioned, it will expand and blow up whatever's there. Look to your natal chart. If you have a lot of 12th house placements, Jupiter's going to expand them. So for example, if you've got Saturn right next to Jupiter, well, you're not going to get any of that luck, are you? It's going to be quite difficult. But if you have Jupiter next to something really lovely, then even like Venus, for example, then you're like, okay, it might expand it nicely. So that's always important to look at your chart. Again, if you've got anything in the first house when Jupiter moves into your sign, it's important to note that as well. Also, just want to quickly note that I'm gearing this horoscope to a Leo rising, but you can watch as a Leo sun, especially if you're an older Leo sun and you resonate with that more, or you want to watch specifically for your ambitions and goals. And moon sign, if you want to look for your, mood and your feelings and how you might feel a little bit more in depth with it as well. But the houses that I talk about are specific to a Leo rising. So if you have a Leo sun but you're a Capricorn rising, it won't be as accurate. So just be mindful of that. So for example, if you do have a Capricorn rising, watch this if you want to, and then watch for the Capricorn rising. This is important because even though Jupiter will be moving into Leo, it might not be in your first house of self if you're not a Leo rising. So just be mindful of all of these things. You can still watch. Again, some people really resonate with the sun sign and the moon sign, and I think it's important to put it together. But when I talk about the houses, it's not going to be specific if you do have a different rising sign. So just be mindful of that. Okay, so I'm going to look at the monthly transits, and I'm going to be super quick with it because the detailed aspects are in my PDF available in my description if you're interested. But January is very focused on relationships. So the most notable thing to me is Venus in Aquarius, January the 17th in your 7th house, will bring harmony to your relationships. And it's quite funky and kind of different as well. It's a little bit more freaky deaky, but it's quite exciting as well. Sun in Aquarius, January the 20th in that 7th house, and then Mars moving into Aquarius, January the 23rd in the 7th house. So you will have a focus on your relationships on this month. Neptune will then also re-enter Aries, January the 26th in the 9th house, and this will be the last time. It will not re-enter Pisces for 165 years. So get used to it being there in the 9th house, because it's going to be there not for 165 years, it's going to be there for a little while, but it's going to again focus that spiritual independence a little bit more. Okay, February. So February the 1st, we have a full moon in Leo in your first house of self, or anything from 10 to 19 degrees of Leo will be really important and impactful for you. We'll also have Uranus moving direct in Taurus as well, February the 4th in your 10th house, as I mentioned, putting a bit of a volatility or sudden shock with career. And again, Uranus won't move back into Taurus after this when it goes back into Gemini. So this is kind of the last stint of getting it all fixed and ready as well. Mercury and Venus both in Pisces in your 8th house as well, bring a bit of harmony and understanding to intimacy, especially something you've been manifesting about intimacy. Mercury in Pisces is a bit debilitated, so not the best, but Venus in Pisces is exalted, so you kind of get one good and one bad mixed together. This is nice harmony for just feeling, really bonded to somebody, especially because Pisces is very affectionate too. Then Saturn will re-enter Aries, February the 14th, Valentine's Day actually, the 9th house. So count your stars that you're not a Virgo and it's not in your 7th house for Valentine's Day. Or maybe you're a Virgo rising watching, who knows? So as I mentioned, this will put a bit of constriction on that 9th house. Then we have a really important eclipse. We have a solar eclipse, new moon in Aquarius in your 7th house of committed relationships, contracts and commitments, February the 17th. I'm going to talk about the eclipses in a minute, so I'm going to brush past this, but I will talk about it in detail. This is going to be impactful for you for sure. Venus and Pisces conjunct North Node in Pisces, February the 18th in your 8th house. Fantastic for manifestation and intimacy. If you're wanting to get some kind of connection in a relationship, especially after the eclipse, and you're like, I really want to push this on, especially if it's like physical, if you want to manifest something to do, or even take action to do with investments and savings, this is also really good as well. And so Sun will be in Pisces the day afterwards as well in the 8th house too. We'll have a Mercury retrograde in Pisces, February the 26th in your 8th house. And again, Mercury is debilitated in Pisces. So even though you had some manifestation energy there, you might also struggle with getting your point across to somebody. This is not a good time to invest in the stock market. This is not financial advice by any means, but it's not the best time to do that, in my opinion. March, we have Mars entering Pisces, March the 2nd, 8th house. I don't really like Mars in Pisces because they don't go together. This is like trusting your war with somebody who is far too emotionally charged to do it. And I say this as a Pisces moon. I'm not saying this with any malice. Like, I love a Pisces, don't get me wrong, but it's not a strategic warrior by any means. This is kind of like the one eye twitching and you're like, oh God, what's going on here? But this will bring some motivation to investing and saving, to trying to deal with an intimacy issue in your life as well. Especially because we know that with the Aquarius energy, the relationships are going to be quite important for you this year as well. Then we have a lunar eclipse, full moon in Virgo in your second house of income and finance as well. So then you might be releasing something, paying off a debt, for example, and that will impact you. Even though it is a mutable sign and you're not a mutable sign, just because of the second house, I think it's quite important. Then we have a couple of other things as well. You know, Venus conjunct Saturn and Neptune, Aries. That's going to be your ninth house. I want to just talk about the most impactful things in like the ninth house. Yeah, it's impactful, but like I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. Venus in Taurus, March 30th in the 10th house of career. This is going to be good for harmony in that regard as well. And then new moon in Pisces, March 19th, 8th house will bring some manifestation energy to the 8th house, as I mentioned as well. A lot of 8th house centric energy here. In April, yeah, new moon Aries, Mars conjunct Aries, Uranus and Gemini. Nothing really that I would say is super focused that I'd be like, whoa, you really need to know about this. Again, just a lot of that 9th house energy. I'm not trying to be flippant, by the way. I'm just going through it quite quickly and then I'll talk about what I think is important. In May, we do have Mercury entering Taurus, May 3rd in your 10th house of career. So you're able to really communicate your ideas quite well for your career, or even just public perception, you know, putting yourself out there, expressing yourself well. Taurus is ruled by Venus as well. So good time to like maybe reinvent your appearance a little bit, even though it's not Venus in Taurus, it's Mercury. Mercury is the way we communicate, and you can see fashion as a way we communicate our ideals and our personality to others as well. Pluto retrograding in Aquarius in your 7th house, May 6th. It's one of those things where Pluto is going to be retrograding in and out of Aquarius for quite some time. So how impactful is it really? Pluto, when it's retrograding, will simply get you to think about things internally with your relationships. You're reevaluating them. So this is, again, I don't think this is going to be a new thing. You've done this last year as well, but just be mindful that in May you might feel a bit more like, oh, I'm lamenting on relationships, or I'm not really sure what I want to do with my freedom. Especially in Aquarius, you might even feel like, I don't want to be trapped to anything. I kind of like the single life, or I kind of like having this particular independence to myself, particularly because of the Aries concentration in that 9th house as well. New moon in Taurus as well, May 16th in the 10th house. As a fixed sign, this will impact you as well. So anything from 20 to 29 degrees of Taurus, it will impact you at 25 degrees. Mars entering Taurus as well, May 18th in the 10th house, bringing motivation to the 10th house of career because Mercury is there, you have that new moon. This is really good for this new start in career, really focusing on your expression as well. And I think that's quite lovely. Full moon in Sagittarius, May 31st, 5th house. This is releasing some energy with dating and creativity and that perfection need. Again, 5th house rules, Leo rules the 5th house. So it's like working alongside us, gearing up for the South Node in Leo, which has not yet hit. In June, we have Venus conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, June 9th, 12th house. You're going to be so excited when this hits for when Leo gets it. This is really exciting because even though I've talked about Jupiter expanding that 12th house, when Venus is there, it's really lovely. Venus and Jupiter, so for example, Jupiter, it needs something like Venus to make it expand really, but beneficially, because they're both very harmonious planets. They're benefics, right? So for example, if something like Saturn was conjunct Jupiter or whatever, you'd be like, I'm not sure about that. So this is quite nice because 12th house, again, let's focus on the positives here of what Venus will be doing. It will be expanding the manifestation energy, and this is generally really good. I don't see this as being bad in any means. It's going to be really lovely for manifestation, so get your wishes in. It's really very good. Mercury enters Cancer as well in that 12th house, June the 1st, so it's very sentimental. So if you've been really wanting something, or you're like, oh, I kind of like felt like I need to give up on this wish, don't give up on the wish, keep going. And then of course, a couple of days later, Venus enters Leo, which is going to be you. You're magnetic and attractive. You can manifest what you want. Harmony, June the 13th, beautiful. I like Venus in Leo because it's very loyal. It's a little bit sort of like, got attitude, it's very sort of like, whatever, it's a cute mentality. I always say Venus in Leo is very ditch. You know, it's very sort of like, I'm not here to please you. I'm here to please myself. And I say that as somebody who knows somebody with this, and it's very much like, it's your mentality, because it's just, I have a lot of self-assurance about myself. I still want love, and I want you to tell me that I'm loved, but at the same time, I got self-assurance. So I do like it. Then we also have Chiron entering Taurus June the 19th in that 10th house. Like I said, this is going to get you to face the feelings of self-worth and your feelings of validation, especially from others, not just like one person. This can also be around a father figure or an uncle figure, for example, as well. And then Jupiter enters Leo June the 30th in the first house of self. Lovely. Even if you're not a Leo rising, this will be very positive and it will impact you. It's just going to be really, very beautiful. It expands. And of course, like I said, because Leo rules the 5th house of joy as well and just fun, it's beautiful. I really like this. I don't really know why Jupiter's not exalted in Leo personally, but then I don't make the rules, but I think it's better than Cancer in my opinion. Okay, July, Venus moving into Virgo July 9th in the 2nd house will bring some harmony to your finances and your income, so use this energy. Sun moves into Leo, of course, beautifully domicile, because the sun rules Leo. July 22nd, 1st house. And then we'll also have Saturn retrograding in Aries, July 26th and 9th house. You might be thinking a little bit more about, you know, that isolation, the wisdom, traveling a lot more, especially around this time as well. And also it might get you to think a little bit more about the road that you're going down when it comes to who you have in your life, because a few days later we have a full moon in Aquarius, which will impact you. July 29th in your 7th house, committed relationships, anything from 0 to 9 degrees of Aquarius, it will impact you. And this is going to be a release as well. And again, I'm being very vague with these, you know, I'm not trying to be super vague. I actually did film one of these and I did everything in detail and it was 3 hours long, and I just simply don't have the time to be doing that because I do have a full-time job and I don't really get a lot of views on these, so I'm like, I don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't really know who's watching. I want to be able to give people this for free as well, so I'm being quite vague, but that's not because I don't care, it's because it's just, if I start going, I will not stop, and that's why I decided to do the PDF of the transits, because I can explain what I think is important and then couple them up with other things. So this will be impactful for you, but it is a release, it is a full moon. I feel like I have to justify myself, like, why are you not doing the work? But I'm like, I am, it's difficult. And I have no script as well, like I don't have a script for this, I'm doing this all off the top of my head, so it's kind of mentally challenging as well. August, Chiron will be retrograding in Taurus, August the 3rd in the 10th house. When Chiron is retrograding in that 10th house, you will not be doing anything actively to solve that trauma. You're thinking about it, you're journaling, you're kind of noticing the sticking points and saying, this has triggered me. Why has it triggered me? And then focusing a little bit more on that as well. Mercury then enters Leo, 1st house of self, August the 9th. Mercury in Leo, as you know, for that horrific Mercury-Leo retrograde last year, 2025, it really feels like this is a very personal, words are taken very personally, very dramatic. And I'm not saying that as like, oh yeah, Leo is very personal. Like, no, seriously, because Leo rules the heart. And when Mercury's there, say things from your heart. So this is the time to, with Venus in Libra as well, if you want to tell someone you love them, in that 3rd house of communication, tell them. But like, don't say it with conviction, really say it with your chest and be like, yeah, and then don't go back on it either. Then we have the biggie here, solar eclipse, new moon in Leo for you, August the 12th, in the 1st house of self. This, even if you're not a Leo rising, will affect you. This is a new start, it's a supercharged new moon in Leo. If I can recall, this is a pretty competitive, quite supercharged, I'm ready to fight kind of new moon, so you might feel very motivated here, but you might also find that you are competing with others as well. I'll talk about this soon. I had to cut because it was a very long train and I'm fed up with the trains. We also do have a lunar eclipse forming in Pisces, August the 28th in your 8th house. Anything in Pisces from 0 to 9 degrees will impact you. Again, you're not a mutable sign, but it is in the 8th house, and the reason why I mention this is important because Pisces is incredibly sensitive. And the 8th house is all about internal transformation, loss, rebirth, a little bit spicy. It's just a bit emotional. I'll come to talk about this soon, but it will impact you. I feel like all my videos, I'll come to talk about this soon because I'm like, yeah, because I'm finishing it off with the eclipses. September, We have Uranus retrograding in Gemini, September 10th in your 11th house. So thinking a little bit more about some of the experiences you've had with what Uranus has given you in the 11th house of friendships as well. And, you know, trying to get some stability from that. New moon in Virgo, September 11th in your 2nd house. Again, nice new start for finances, you know, making a financial plan. Important as well because, you know, in that month, Chiron retrograding into Taurus, September 18th in the 10th house as well. 10th house linked to career and finances as well. So there's a bit of a link here. Mars enters Leo. I like Mars and Leo. September 28th in the 1st house. This is fiery. This will bring a bit more anger to your identity, your goals. You're like, got to fire up your ass. You're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, this is really charged because, of course, Mars rules Aries. It likes to be in fire sign, but it's also going to bring some anger to you. So you might be like a little bit, but actually, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. October, particularly spooky, not just because of Scorpio, because Venus was retrograding in Scorpio. October 3rd in the 4th house, this will affect family and feelings around the home. This is also not just restricted to 4 walls around you, it's the feeling and sense of home as well. Venus is also assets and love, so this can be how you're feeling, you know, embraced with your family, but also can be the asset you've made in a house, purchase or an apartment, and everything might just feel a little bit like, what's going on here? Things break around the house, basically. Pluto goes direct in Aquarius October 16th in the 7th house, brings a lot more active transformation to your relationships as well. So you might find things speed up there a little bit. And then, of course, we have Mercury retrograde alongside Venus and Scorpio, October 24th in the 4th house, in which things in the home will probably break. So be mindful, have a little bit of an emergency fund set up beforehand. But that new moon in Virgo in the 2nd house, you can like, I think the boiler's going to break, or I need to be ready for things to just be, you know, a little bit dodgy. And, you know, every time we have these kind of retrogrades, I get a text from my dad being like, oh yeah, the fridge is broke, the boiler's broke, the car's gone, what next? And I'm like, don't ask what's next, because you don't want to know. It does happen though. And then full moon in Taurus, October 26th in the 10th house, really releasing a lot of the energy that we've learned from Chiron being in Taurus as well. And again, that need for validation, that feeling of, you know, depending on others. I feel like you're a very independent, sort of, quote unquote, single lady, as it were, single man, single whatever you please, for the year. Then November, we have Mercury going direct in Scorpio, November 13th, the 4th house, so a little bit easier with things around the home. Mars conjunct Jupiter and Leo, November 16th, the 1st house. This is nice. Mars, again, Mars is a malefic. Jupiter is a benefic. So, for example, this is not going to make Jupiter super, super lucky like Venus conjunct Jupiter would be, but it's almost like, I still like it. And the reason why I like it is because Mars is known as a malefic because it's angry and it's like, I'm going to start wars, but it also brings intense motivation. And you need that motivation in your 1st house of self to be able to really get the opportunity. So I like it. And again, it's not like opposing or anything, it's conjunct. So this is going to bring a fire in your belly. And funny enough as well, a couple of days later, Sun enters Sagittarius in your 5th house as well, November 22nd, of creativity and fun. And it's just like, I'm just going to go for things, you know. Feels like if you're really going to go for things and have an opportunity, this is the time to do it as well. And then November 25th, Mars will actually move from Leo into Virgo, which is more strategic in the 2nd house. So you might find that you're a little bit more detail orientated with your finances as well. December, new in Sagittarius, December 9th in the 5th house. So anything in Sagittarius from 10 to 19 degrees is going to be important. This is a nice new moon. We start 2027 with like joy and creativity and just feeling really good. It's beautiful for dating as well because, you know, there's a valuation of relationships throughout the whole year. There's a big focus on maybe I want to be a bit more flirty and fun with my dating prospects as well. Saturn and Neptune both direct in Aries as well. Jupiter will be retrograding in Leo in your 1st house of self, December 13th. Jupiter retrograde is like, again, you consider your wishes and dreams a little bit more. You don't actively do anything about it. And you might be reminiscing on what Jupiter has given you so far and kind of like getting the Pinterest board out and starting the manifestations for, like I said, the new year. And then we finish the year with Mercury entering Capricorn in the 6th house, December 25th. So you might find yourself being more disciplined and focused with your physical health and exercise and New Year's resolutions as well. So let's break down ranking the months based on the topics and subjects. So January is the best month for relationships and defining what you want. February is the best month for intimacy, money and focus. March is the best month for career and saving and investing. April is the best month for spirituality and friendships. May is the best month to focus on career and expression. June is the best month to gear up to enjoy Jupiter's gift and, you know, just kind of get ready for like all the opportunities it's going to bring you. July is the best month to consider, you know, your mental health and release any toxic connections that you have, any patterns with relationships. August is the best month to focus on yourself and your finances. September is the best month to be productive. And I said this with Cancer as well, just kind of get a bit of everything done, really. It's a bit of a mix of everything there. Kind of like having your hand in lots of different pots and saying, I'm going to do one thing here and one thing here. And you're not really focused on just strictly relationships or strictly money. October is the best month to reevaluate family and relationships. November is the best month for being energetic and having fire. I've for some reason written on my notes Energetica. Don't know why. Must have put a there, but Energetica. December, best month for spirituality and feeling a sense of home. So again, not just the walls around us, the feeling of home as well. So those would be the months. Again, I don't think anything is particularly worse than others. I would say July is a little bit of a sticking point. You know, you've got the Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, October, November. June, I think, is probably really very nice as well. So let me just talk about the change of nodes before I finally move on to the eclipses. So the nodes are important for you, Leo, because the South Node is moving into your sign. So North Node in Aquarius, South Node in Leo, July 27th, 2026 to March 26th, 2028. So North Node in the 7th house are committed relationships, which is what I call rags to riches. And the South Node in the 1st house, which is what I call the memories of a king. If you have these in your natal chart, this is interesting because you're having a nodal return. If you have the opposite, you're having a reverse nodal return. So I've done a lot of research on nodes and soulmates and past life energy. For example, in a birth chart, if you have a South Node in Leo and a North Node in the 7th house, you must learn to release the feelings that it's all about you. And that's not in a derogatory way. If you have a Leo South Node, you were most likely a prince, princess, king or queen, or a very, very important part of monarchy or royalty in the past. Because of that, it means that in this life, you have to learn that you're not a king and you're not a queen anymore. You must work with others. You have to work with the community. You can't watch the community from a tower. You have to be integrated into the community. And that includes your relationships. So you cannot view relationships as I'm the one that makes all the rules and I have the shot. It has to be a mutual, beautiful, beneficial energy of relationships. It has to be I'm going to commit to this because this person is going to commit to me. Finding mutual respect. With the South Node in the 1st house, this is releasing the feelings that are impacting your self-esteem. So you will not accept relationships or people who play in your face. You have to learn it's got to be a mutual thing and it's not a power play. The South Node in that 1st house is releasing the need for perfection. It is releasing the need to be number one. It is integrating yourself into the community with love. I mean, there's 2 people meeting here. There's not, well, I always put more effort in, it makes me feel like shit. I always give and then I never get anything back, right? It has to be a control feeling. So the nodes will really impact that for you as well. And they're going to be there until 2028. So it's something to be mindful of. Okay, let's look at the solar eclipse in Aquarius taking place February the 17th. I just want to say I already know this video is going to be a lot longer than other zodiac signs because Leo is so important. So, you know, I'm just thinking this is going to be quite a long one. It might even be an hour actually, but we'll see. I've tried to keep everything to 30 to 40 minutes, but I'm like, I want to talk about this because I do think you are a bit of a main character this year. I mean, you are a main character for sure. And before you say it, I know Leos are always the main character, but I just have to say that. So, solar eclipse in Aquarius, this will affect you. It's in your 7th house of committed relationships. It is actually taking place at 28 degrees, which is the 3rd decan of Aquarius, which is ruled by the moon and Venus. 2 quite nice signs, I'd say. I mean, the moon is to me quite neutral, but it's emotional. Venus is obviously very beautiful. Of course, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Saturn as co-rulers. So this is what you call a Libra triplicity, very feminine energy. This eclipse, okay, think of eclipses as maverick moons, supercharged maverick moons that really reset the balance in your life. This is a very judgmental particular eclipse, actually. It is a feeling of sudden change that's very extreme and shocking in the 7th house of committed relationships. This is a new moon, so this is a supercharged new moon, but with eclipses, it doesn't sometimes matter. It's like the eclipse is going to do what it's going to do. This is associated with the 7 of Swords, which is a very plotting, Machiavellian, sneaky kind of energy. So this might be where you have to really think on your feet because you get given a curveball from a relationship, or it could even be, for example, I talk about relationships, but take what resonates in the 7th house. This can be a legal matter, like a contract for a job, literally a court case. The amount of readings I do for people that are like, I literally have a court case coming up. I'm like, is everybody just in the courts or something? What's going on here? So that can also be that, or just a feeling of something you've committed to that you like feel like you can't get yourself out of. So this is being resourceful, because the 7th house is very lawful, as I mentioned. It's the justice, you know, it's Libra, it's justice. So this is trying to get into someone's head and find out what they're actually thinking. It's very Machiavellian, again, it's manipulative. It's a bit gaslighty. When I go Australian then, it's a bit gaslighty. But they, you know, it's kind of like sussing out an opponent, like a chessboard, Queen's Gambit, right? And analysing what tactics someone else is using. So this is very Machiavellian in the 7th house. So secrets might come to light. You might find out something you don't want to find out. And it can also be, there's a bit of a sense of a midlife crisis with this kind of eclipse, where it's like, I'm judging myself. I'm judging myself and my views of relationships, and why am I here? What am I doing here? So just be mindful not to be too judgmental of yourself. Jupiter in Cancer in the 12th house, trining the North Node in Pisces in the 8th house. So Jupiter expanding that 12th house of karma. Eclipses are very karmic, I might add. And then this North Node in Pisces in the 8th house of internal transformation, loss and rebirth. And we're thinking about the 7th house of relationships. This is bringing expansive quality to your emotional security about relationships, especially intimately. Do I really know this person? Do we really ever know anybody? You know, our bond, and when I go to bed and I rest my head against my partners, I'm like, I don't really know you, do I? You know, that kind of energy. So, although I always get, well, how can you not trust the person you're with? I'm like, because I don't, okay? So there's this feeling of alignment with the water signs, especially going that North Node, bringing a sense of purpose and intuition and a knowing. But the reason why that can be a bit iffy is because 12th and 8th house I don't like together as houses particularly. They're very dark. And then with the eclipse, with the energy of 7 of Swords, internally and intuitively you know something's not right. And you're going to find out, unfortunately, and it's going to be like, okay, nice. Sun and Moon in Aquarius in the 7th house, also squaring Uranus in Taurus in the 10th house. So whenever you have the Sun and Moon, or any planet really squaring Uranus and Taurus, you're going to be questioning the status quo. But it's almost like your ambitions, your goals, your very sense, the core of who you are, and your feelings are going to be you know, challenged. There's an unconventionality to this, you know. In the 10th house, in which you're trying to seek some validation from a relationship, you're trying to seek something. Again, this can also be contract with work, take what resonates. I'm doing sort of generalists for people here. You have to be prepared for a sudden opportunity or some kind of shift in your personal circumstances that affect, you know, your need for validation with a relationship or a contract with work and what have you. So there is this amplification of being uprooted. Again, Uranus and Taurus is difficult. Uranus tries to uproot Taurus, it doesn't want to move. So you have to be a bit more, okay, I have to move with this. You have to just go with the intuitive inner knowing of the North Node in Pisces, for example. So that will impact you. And again, if you'd like to know more, I will do more on my PDF as well, but that's the rundown of this eclipse and how it will impact you. Then March the 3rd, we have a lunar eclipse full moon in Virgo, 12 degrees in the 2nd house, which is ruled by Venus and Saturn, because it's the 2nd decan of Virgo, which is Capricorn triplicity. You know, Venus and Saturn to me are sort of opposites here. So it's in the 2nd house of income, finance, but self-worth and self-esteem and, you know, assets as well. So a full moon is more of a supercharged release in Virgo, which really does not like to release things if it's not signed off and checked. This is actually quite successful. So unlike the solar eclipse in Aquarius, which is a lot more difficult and Machiavellian and manipulative, this eclipse is much more successful. It's associated with the Nine of Pentacles, which is very positive. It's a very open card because Pentacles is earth energy and is related to finance. And of course, Virgo itself, this is really quite nice. This is prosperity and wealth. It's your hard work paying off. So you might have more of a sigh of relief than anything that you're releasing. Karmically, it's if I work hard, I get the results, you know, like hard work brings beautiful gems, and you know, it's quite nice. It's a quite dramatic success as well. It's something that you have to be like, but I mean, I'm really patting myself on the back here, you know, I don't normally do that, but my God, you know, this was really hard earned. And in the second house, you might be getting a raise, for example, or feeling like you've come to some kind of conclusion with either paying off a debt with this full moon as well, or you have a new financial plan that you feel very good about. The Nine of Pentacles is quite open as well, so you're like, I'm really open to the opportunities it will bring to me. This is a kind of running yourself ragged energy though, so be mindful to enjoy this time. Don't think, what do I do to deserve this? Like, just enjoy it, embrace it. This is successful, it's good. Don't get melancholic about, well, it's not as good as this. Don't compare yourself. This is going to be a good milestone and it's nice for you. Sun and Mercury in Pisces in the 8th house is then trining Jupiter in Cancer, the 12th house, the 8th and 12th showing up again. And so that's going to be an enhancement of intuition, like I said again, creative energy, but opportunities for some transformation with finances, opportunity for personal internal transformation. And it also creates a bridge between the emotional needs and the actual logical, physical things you're doing with your money as well. So again, it feels quite balanced, and eclipses are about a rebalance. Jupiter in Cancer in the 12th house, also sextiling the moon in Virgo in the 2nd house as well. Again, it's the emotional security meets the practicality here. And so it's a really good time to improve your finances, to improve your self-care practices, your self-worth as well. It might not for all of you be money. It could be the way you're feeling about yourself and your self-worth and, you know, your sense of stability. Especially because that 9th house energy in Aries of, you know, kind of being very free and spontaneous, might be a bit more focus on that. Again, take what resonates here. August the 12th, we have a total solar eclipse new moon in Leo in your first house of self. So this will definitely impact you. 20 degrees, so anything from 20 to 29 degrees will impact you for sure. This, as I mentioned, is quite a rivalry focused, competitive kind of decan. So this is the 3rd decan of Leo, associated with the 7 of Wands, which is very much like, don't you come after me. Don't you come at me. So this is about your principles, your power, your control. It's letting the lion be unleashed, right? And again, supercharged new moon. So in your first house, I'm ready to plan. I'm ready to plan. Feel a bit under attack, feel defensive, feel aggressive, feel like I'm fighting, feel like this is a forceful new start. You know, I always think about this coupled with 7 of Wands, like the Ace of Swords as well, when I'm really fighting with this. But it feels like when I'm going to stand up for myself, I'm going to do it, and you can't take advantage of me. So you're going to be even more confident than you normally would be as a Leo. This is like, I'm going to be shining bright like the sun. The sun, for example, does not have to tell anybody that it's shining, does it? We just simply see that it's shining. So you don't need to tell anybody. You just have to show up and be like, I'm going to fight for my right to take up space, to go for my dreams, and God damn it, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for my goals. My personality is going to be strong. I'm going to be forthright, confident, and I'm not going to just reach the finish line. I'm going to actually leap over it, right? So it's going to be super, super confident. As you can see, we have a grand air trine. So we have Pluto in Aquarius trining Uranus in Gemini, which is then trining Venus in Libra, which is then trining Pluto in Aquarius. So we have an air trine. We also have 2 kite formations. So you can see on one side, on the left, we have a kite formation. It's kind of like on its side. And then if you flip it around, we have another kite formation. Kite formations are incredibly transformational. So to have 2 of them together with this eclipse, it's really, really important. This is very, very important. This could change the whole trajectory of your whole year. And, you know, August the 12th as well. So we're sort of 2 months deep into Jupiter being into Leo. What's most important, as you can see here, sorry, I'm moving back and forth between 2. I've got a tablet and a Mac here. We have Jupiter in Leo, which is in a sort of 4-degree orb. So pretty close. I'd say it's definitely, you know, it's pretty conjunct. Mercury in Leo. Mercury in Leo takes everything personally. So it's like, okay, I'm really going to communicate with conviction. Mercury in Leo is the most sort of, you know, I'm really going to speak with conviction. And then you also have the sun and moon both in Leo as well. So you have this Leo stellium that's really, really strong. This is also the last time that the nodes are going to be in Pisces and Virgo. They're at 0 degrees. We're about to change. So the south node is almost about to move into your sign, in which you're like, right, I am ready to gear up to letting go of something to do with my identity. And then this grand air trine as well, which is really bringing a lot of logic to the situation. So this is not, I'm under no delusions here. I have logic and I'm going for it. And again, Pluto being in Aquarius in your 7th house, being both opposite Jupiter and Mercury in Leo in the 1st house as well. There's going to be I just can't take this with relationships and feeling, like I said, all the eclipses that you had up to this point with your self-worth and your relationships, it kind of just becomes unleashed here. I can just see, like, you know, the werewolf that's like, oh, I'm going to rip it apart. That's what it feels like. So this is going to be super important for you. Then we have a partial lunar eclipse, full moon in Pisces. Although it's partial, any full moon, especially eclipse in Pisces, is going to be quite dramatic. So this is in your 8th house. So this is the first decan of Pisces. This is ruled by both Saturn and Jupiter. Again, these sort of two opposites. This is quite creative and artistic in the 8th house. It feels like I'm ready to move on and have a rebirth, but I feel really hurt about the fact I have to do it. So this decan 1 is like, I'm having faith that everything's going to work out, but also it doesn't feel like life's being fair to me, and I feel let down, especially in the 8th house. You might feel let down by finances. You might be let down by personal connections in your life, intimacy. You might feel like I'm bored. Basically, I'm not getting the va-va-voom, the je ne sais quoi that I wanted in my life. This is associated with the 8 of Cups, which is walking away from something you thought was going to work out. This could be like a failed investment, for example. It could be a failed connection, relationship that was like, this was intimate, I thought it was working out, like we told each other things and never told anybody else, but I don't think it's going to be for me. I'm going to have to withdraw a little bit. And as you can see, there's no kite formation anymore. The top half of it's there, but it's not. Saturn opposite Venus as well in Libra in your 3rd house, and then Saturn in Aries in the 9th house. There's this sense of philosophical, spiritual nature about me walking away from this. And, you know, the 8 of Cups is very much, I'm on a pilgrimage, I'm on a journey, I'm on a weary traveller that's going to just walk away, because this is not superficial. And I've been saying this for all the zodiac signs. Pisces itself is not superficial, and the 8 of Cups is not. Because Cups is so emotional. And then, of course, Mars in Cancer, which is in its fall. Talk about crying and screaming at the same time. It's just a little bit difficult for you. And you've noticed as well, the South Node is now in Leo, and the North Node is now in Aquarius. And you also notice that the North Node in Aquarius is in, you know, a couple of degrees orb of the Moon in Pisces as well. So the focus on relationships is quite strong here as well. So be mindful of that. Although the moon is trining Mars, and so it does feel like I'm active and walking away, and I know that I need to do this, doesn't necessarily feel good for you. So there is a big focus on intimacy, relationships, self-worth, and also investments and finances. Again, take what resonates. You might not be interested in relationships. You might be in like a really lovely, healthy relationship, and you're like, this is not going to be me. So take what resonates. I give lots of different opportunities as well. If you're interested, again, as I mentioned, I do have a PDF that you can purchase. I've tried to keep it super cheap. It's taken me ages to do these, actually, because I haven't picked everything, and I'm trying to put the information in. And I'm also looking at my point of view, like for me, if I was just, you know, a random person, what would I like to see? So hopefully, if you are interested, you can and consult that. But I've given you some information. This is going to be a very impactful year for you, Leo. You're going to be quite lucky with Jupiter being in Leo, but also because of the nodes and the eclipses, it's going to be very main character energy. And again, eclipses, I'm under no pretense that these are ever actually very good. They do rebalance your life, and so they're not the worst thing in the world, but it's never a seamless, smooth journey. So be mindful of that. So even though I'm saying yes, for the second half of the year, you're going to be the luckiest, you will also deal with a lot of personal transformation. Some people like that. Some people actually think, oh, I quite like that, makes me feel good. Others can't stand it. Depends who you are. Some people love chaos. They love being in the trenches. I know so many Aries that are like, bring it on. Others don't want to have to deal with that. So it just depends. Again, astrology is simply an influence. It's not puppet strings. We can manifest. We have a subconscious mind that is projecting reality. So it's 50-50. There's a lot of things going on in the world. Astrology just kind of gives you a little bit of a, why do I feel this way? Let me consult. And, you know, it's not something that you have to be scared or think I'm doomed. It's not written down in stone. You do have free will. And because of that, use astrology as a strategic advantage for opportunities, not as a crystal ball per se. Anyway, I'm going to stop my ranting. I hope you enjoyed this video, Leo, and that you found it informative. You know, maybe drop a like if you enjoyed it, or maybe comment down below what you're looking forward to, you know, how your year was. Is there anything that you'll want to be achieving this year? Are you excited about anything? And have a little bit of a conversation going. And I hope you have a generally wonderful 2026, and I'll speak to you soon.